In the small town near Chicago, a stray dog refused to leave a certain spot. He stood there, motionless, rain or shine, as if he were waiting for something or someone. His eyes held a deep emotion, a mix of longing and hope. People tried to shoo him away, call him, even offer food in other places, but nothing made him budge. Some neighbors grew concerned, while others wondered if the dog was simply lost, or if there was something deeper behind his persistence. Then one day a curious resident decided to investigate, and when the truth came out, no one could believe it. The dog, named Rusty, had been seen on the same street for weeks, always in the same position, staring at an old wooden gate worn down by time. His gaze wasn't sad or hungry, but filled with a quiet determination that puzzled everyone. Neighbors started speculating, had he been abandoned there? Was he waiting for his owner to return? Or was there something hidden behind that gate? People tried everything to move him, calling an animal shelter, offering him a temporary home. But Rusty always came back to the same spot. Some tried petting him, yet he remained distant, as if he had a greater purpose. Over time, some residents started leaving food and water for him, noticing that he was getting thinner, but still refused to leave. One night, a powerful storm hit the small town. The winds were strong and rain poured down the streets. Yet Rusty remained there, soaked, shivering but unmoving. A young man named Ethan, who passed by every day, decided he had to do something. Slowly he approached, sat down beside the dog, and without trying to touch him began talking, telling stories as if trying to gain his trust. The next day, Ethan returned. He brought a blanket and a piece of meat, sitting in the same spot, waiting for Rusty to come closer. Little by little, the dog started accepting him, but he never took his eyes off that wooden gate. Intrigued, Ethan began asking neighbors about the abandoned house behind it. That's when an elderly man, who had lived in the area for decades, shared a story that changed everything. The house once belonged to a family that had lived there many years ago. The youngest son, a boy named Daniel, had a dog that followed him everywhere. They were inseparable. But then, tragedy struck. Daniel suffered an accident and never returned home. The dog disappeared soon after, and the house had been abandoned ever since. Could it be possible that Rusty was that same dog, returning to the place where he had lived his happiest moments? Despite numerous attempts to take him to a safe place, Rusty always returned to that exact spot, as if bound to something unseen. Nothing seemed to convince him to move on. That's when the elderly man, who knew the town's history well, decided to share a story that would finally shed light on Rusty's mystery. We love to know how far this story reaches. Please tell us where you're watching from. If you love animals, like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories. Many have witnessed the unwavering loyalty of a dog. Stories of dogs waiting for their owners for years, traveling miles to reunite, or sensing the presence of those who have passed. Rusty seemed to be one of those dogs, tied to something far greater than anyone could imagine. The bond between dogs and their homes goes far beyond what we can see. These animals have an incredible ability to remember scents, sounds, and emotions tied to specific places. Rusty wasn't just a lost dog. He was there for a reason that had yet to be understood. Every morning at sunrise, Rusty would lift his ears, as if waiting for a familiar sound. Every evening, he would subtly change position, as if searching for a new sign. His routine was marked by small gestures that intrigued the locals. Some neighbors noticed that, on colder days, Rusty curled up near an old wooden bench where a makeshift blanket would mysteriously appear. At night, when everything seemed quiet, he would let out a deep sigh, as if preparing for another long wait. As the days passed, more neighbors began leaving food and water for Rusty. There was something truly captivating about him. People couldn't quite understand his story, but they felt his presence had a deeper meaning. A small bakery on the corner started leaving bread scraps and bits of meat for him. A florist who worked nearby watched as Rusty stood firm, even when no one else was looking. Martha, a longtime resident, started paying closer attention to Rusty's habits. He wasn't just a dog waiting for someone. He was a silent guardian of something bigger. To her, his behavior suggested there was more to the story, something beyond mere waiting. She began asking neighbors if anyone knew more about the house behind the gate, trying to understand why Rusty refused to leave. She recalled a dog who, after his owner passed, would go to the train station every day where they used to meet, waiting as if believing his friend would return. Could Rusty be doing the same? Was he waiting for someone who would never come back? One morning, Ethan arrived before sunrise and observed Rusty closely. As the first rays of sunlight broke through, the dog perked up his ears and fixed his gaze on the gate. Ethan moved closer and noticed something no one else had seen before: a faint movement inside the abandoned house. That gate wasn't just a symbol of the past for Rusty. Something was inside, something he knew he had to protect or find. Ethan felt he was on the brink of a major discovery and decided he wouldn't stop until he found an answer. Do you believe dogs can sense the presence of those who have passed? What do you think about this special connection? Dogs have an incredible emotional memory. They recognize places, scents, and even voices long after an event has occurred. For many owners, this ability may seem almost supernatural, but it's actually a reflection of the deep bond they form with humans and their homes. A dog never forgets where it was loved, and Rusty was living proof of that. We've all heard stories of dogs who, even after years apart from their owners, recognize them instantly. Rusty seemed to be experiencing something similar. He didn't just remember that gate. He felt it was his mission to stay there. But what was he waiting for? Residents began noticing small details they had previously overlooked. Every morning at sunrise, Rusty perked up his ears as if expecting a familiar sound. In the late afternoon, he would get up, look around, and then lie back down, always facing the gate. His behavior was methodical, almost ritualistic. Some people started spending more time observing him, trying to understand what was happening. As days passed, Rusty and Ethan's bond grew stronger. Ethan, noticing the dog's routine, decided to conduct an experiment. One morning, he arrived before dawn and watched Rusty closely. As the sun began to rise, the dog lifted his ears and stared intently at the gate. Ethan moved in closer and noticed something no one had seen before: a faint movement inside the abandoned house. That gate wasn't just a reminder of the past for Rusty. Something was inside, something he knew he had to protect or find. The connection between humans and animals is profound and mysterious. Those who have dogs understand how strong this bond can be. What do you think? Was Rusty's loyalty hiding a secret no one could have foreseen? Moved by the elderly man's story, the resident who decided to investigate took action. He stepped onto the abandoned property and started searching for clues. The ground was covered with dry leaves and pieces of decaying furniture. The air smelled of aged wood and dust. He walked slowly, feeling the tension of the moment. In one corner of the main room, an old toppled bookshelf held faded photographs and objects long forgotten. Among the debris, he found something that sent chills down his spine: a worn-out photo of a young boy embracing a puppy. The boy in the picture was the son of the home's previous owner, who had passed away years before, and the puppy was Rusty. The faded photo showed that this was a cherished memory, something Rusty had never forgotten. He wasn't just waiting, he was guarding something from his past. The resident realized that Rusty had never abandoned his old home because he still carried the love and loyalty for his little owner. He continued searching and found an old toy box covered in dust. Inside, he discovered a collar with the name Rusty engraved on it, along with a small, time-worn blanket. That's when he understood. This place was the only connection Rusty had left to the child he had loved so much. When the townspeople learned the truth, they decided to honor his story. They restored the site as a small memorial for Daniel and his faithful companion. Rusty was adopted by a family who understood his pain and his unconditional love, but they never stopped bringing him back to that special place. Instead of waiting alone, Rusty was now taken to the memorial, where he could feel the presence of the boy he never forgot. Rusty finally found peace, knowing that the love he felt would never be forgotten. His eyes, once filled with sadness and longing, now carried a calmness that touched everyone who knew his story. Do you think the townspeople made the right decision? What would you have done differently? After being adopted, Rusty slowly started adjusting to his new home. At first, he was hesitant, often looking out the window as if expecting to see that familiar gate. His new family realized that to him, that place would always be special, so they made an incredible decision. Regularly, they took Rusty back to the memorial, allowing him to spend time there. Every visit, he would lie in the same spot, taking deep breaths, as if reliving the memories of a happy past. Over time, Rusty began showing signs of contentment. For the first time, he ran joyfully in the yard, playing with a young boy from his new family. His transition was slow, but each moment was a step forward, proving that even the deepest wounds can heal with love and understanding. Have you ever witnessed such a profound moment of loyalty? Share your story and tell us where you're watching from. If you believe in the special bond between humans and animals, like and share this video. Look at your screen. Another heartwarming story is waiting for you. Click now and discover the hero who will touch your heart.